Right, what have I got today? Boosh, it's a whopper. In fact, it's so big, look, it won't actually all fit on screen at the same time. Nearly. Okay, so just a quick one today. Now, I say quick, and you realise on this channel that could mean anything from 6 hours to a 24-hour odyssey, but I promise I'll do my best. Okay, so moving on rapidly. This is the Xtar VC8 Plus. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what's the plus? Was there a non-plus? Yes, there was. If I've got it, here's the non-plus, which I've been using for more than a year, and just to prove it, look at the dust. I'm either very dirty or I'm into special effects, and I went to a horror company and said, can you make this look like it's from Dracula's lair? But being seriously, I have used this for a period of time, so I'm very familiar with this system. This is the non-plus version, which came out first. Now obviously on the plus version there is a difference, and I will go into that, but just to show you, I have used a VC8 and I had no problems with it. I thoroughly enjoyed, although in regards to that, I do also own and use a night core. I've got 3 night cores. This is one of them. Again, dusty, used a lot. One of the reasons I switched from the USM4, which is great, I wasn't able to get the very long batteries in here, sorry, cells I should say. So some of the 21700 protected, I wasn't able to fit them in, so I went looking for something with a bigger space. This had it. I was able to get the cells in, and just to prove it, look, here's a 21700. Yes, it's not protected, it's a flat top, but you can see that when that's in, there's still room to spare. You see that there? So if I push that down, look, there's still room to spare, you see? And didn't have any problems. The only problems I ever did have with this is if you use a massive long one and it's protected and it's a proprietary one. And when I say proprietary, I'm talking about cells which have onboard charging and things like that, because they're something of an anomaly and they're mega long anyway, and you may need to look at other charging sort of items for that. So let's get this out of the way and let's talk about what I'm supposed to be looking at here. So VC8 Plus, very sort of looking forward to having a look at this. Before I start the review proper, I'd like to say that Xtar sent me a message and they said, TrailTrek, this is right up your street. We're going to send you this. Tell us what you think. Give us some feedback. So I will do that. And they also said, and you can do a review, an honest review. So I'm going to do an honest review. The fact that they sent me this is not going to impact the output of whether I say this is good or bad, because this is an honest channel. Always has been. I just wanted to say that. Although I did have a comment from someone saying, stop saying you're honest. So I apologise to him as well. So we can't please everyone, can you? Okay, so let's get this out of the box because it's getting boring. And what I'll do is, now you really need a quick charge adapter for this, but we'll go into that. So I'll get rid of the box. Boosh. There's the instructions. Can't bother to read that. Boosh. So what do you actually get in here? So we'll get rid of that. So what it comes with is an adapter and the main unit, which I'll put the right way, but might help. So there's the main unit there. Looks pretty nice. You've got dual LED screens there, and they're backlit. They're not like OLED or anything like that, but they do work, and they do dim when they're charging. They don't go all night when you're doing an all-nighter or anything like that. So very impressed so far. Looks decent. Looks very similar, and in regards size, if I put them together, almost identical. The only difference is on the back, this is the new one, on the back you have Type-C and you have a DC input for the adapter which comes with it. You don't have that option with the old one, so this is the Plus here. Size, exactly the same. Capacity again is exactly the same, 8 bays, no difference. So, and size, that actually seems to go even further down than this one. That sort of stops near the end, but this goes even further. Very similar though. I tested all cells and they were very similar. So that's the old one and that's a new one. They all fit, so no problems, unless I say you're wanting to do proprietary cells. Well, that's another issue that I'm not going to go into. This is supposed to be a quick review. Okay, so in regards input, what I'll do is I'll plug in this. Now this is the adapter that comes with it, so they don't give you a Type-C. So let's look at some of the specs on here. So if I can get it to focus, I do apologise. Come on, focus there. There you go. It will not focus, will it? There. Okay, so there's your power supply. Looking at the input, it's 100 to 240 volts. And then output, that's what we're interested in. So 12 volts at 3 amps is a maximum, which is what you need for this. So this supports Quick Charge 3. I'm not going to go into what Quick Charge 3 is. Go to this video here, which I did on Type-C and power delivery, and that explains all the different charging methodologies, types, you know, quick charge, supercharge, quick charge 1, 2 and 3, USB 1, 2 and 3, micro USB, all of that. Go to that video if you want to do that. Okay, so let's get rid of that bush. Right, so back onto this review. You need to use this to get full speed. So what we'll do is I'll plug it in, but I will show you other methods. So I'll just put that to one side and we'll plug this in. Okay. Right, so that's plugged in, and then you plug that into the back there. Boom. Okay, so now you're able to do your charging. So there's the LCD display. So there's nothing much on it when it's not doing anything. When it first turns on, it illuminates all the characters, just to show you that there. So you can see current, capacity, internal resistance, grad and store would be at the top. It'll do your lithium ion and your nickel metal hydride. In regards to that, according to them, it'll do nickel cadmium, which is the old type of cells. I don't have any of those anymore. That, you know, they're full of heavy metals. You know, the type A and AAA. It'll also do nickel metal hydride. So I've got some nickel metal hydrides here. I've got some, these are AAAs. These just happen to be Anyloop Pros. Those are the Anyloop Pros on the left, and the non-Pros, the standard one. Had no problems with any of those. I tested those. It also fits your AAs. These happen to be Anyloop Pros again. No problems with those. So it'll do your nickel metal hydrides. I didn't have any problems. It certainly functioned in that regards. I also tested it with 18650s. I tested it with 26650s, the bigger ones, and the 21700s. I tested a protected one, which I've got over there from Nightcore, and I also used a lot of these flat tops. So this happens to be a Samsung. I went to the Molly cells. I tried vape cells, or VAP cells, however you're supposed to pronounce that these days. I tried all sorts. Didn't have any problems. But I didn't have any problems with the old one. In regards to using this input, you can't just opt to use a type C, but if you are going to do that, and I'll show you, now I've got a normal type C here, but I've got this plugged into an old socket, which means you're not going to get quick charge. So watch what happens. If you try and run it, it looks okay. You think, ah, that's fine, well that's working, no problems there, but watch. If you stick a cell in and try and give it a load of juice, it resets itself, watch. So it runs, it's doing it 440 there. So let's bang the current up a bit. Let's try and do it at 3 amps. There, let's see what happens. There, see that? Okay, so let's explain what's happening there. So I've taken that cable out now. So what happens is, if you don't use a quick charge compatible one, not enough juice is going to get to this unit. Therefore, it's going to fall flat on its arse, isn't it? So what happens is, you put a cell in that's asking for too much juice. It's not able to supply that. It's going to cut out, and that's not the fault of this unit. You need to follow the directions of what it needs. Now, in that regard, you can use a Type C to Type C, and I've tried that. I've been using it on this. So this is a quick charge 3. It should be anyway, because I have checked it. There you go. So Type C, this will do 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts, 2 amps, and so on. This will output 3 amps, no problem. Type C to Type C works. In other words, this is power delivery compatible. I didn't have any problems with that. The only problems I had was when you're not using it within specifications of what the manufacturer is telling you need to do. So if you want to be safe, either make sure you've got a quick charge 3, or just put the adapter in, because you get one anyway. Okay, in regards to the adapter, I would have liked to have seen a longer lead. I'll just show you. If we take this out, I mean, there's not enough room to show you here, but if I put this into quarters there, it's not a very long lead. So if you're a distance away, or you want to wall mount this or something, you're out of luck. So that's just one thing I'd like to see them change there. We'll get that plug back in, and I'll show you the basic functions. Okay, so let's get some cells here. Okay, so let's try some cells. So there's 3 cells there. What we'll do is, I'll show you the basic functions. So you've got 4 buttons here. You've got your mode button, which affects the first 4 slots, and then you've got your current, and then you've got the same here, the display and current. So display just changes what information is being shown, and the current changes how much juice is going in. So in that regard, it'll do 3 amps if you've got the quick charge, remember, or you've got the adapter in. It'll do 2 amps, it'll do 1 amp, it'll do half an amp or a quarter of an amp. So in other words, 250 milliamps, 500 milliamps, 1000, 2000 or 300. Now again, that depends on the cell as well. So it's no good sticking in a Type A and saying, right, I want 3 amps, boom, and it all goes nuclear. I wouldn't recommend that, obviously, but it will do its best to try and give you a sensible charge for the cell that you enter. So let's put in this. This is a Samsung 40T, is it? 21700? Yes, it's a 21700, and it happens to be the 40T model by Samsung. So let's stick that in, see what happens. I'll hold this up so you can actually see it right. So let's see what's happening here. So you can see that juice is going in. You see the battery indicator on the bottom there, or the cell, I should say. So it's showing you, it's saying, right, it's by automatic, as soon as you stick something in like that, it's saying, right, look, now can you see there, it jumped up, then it jumped down. It was doing 3 amps, but then it decided, no, I'll do 1 amp, that should be enough. So that's how much it's putting in real time. So it's charging at about 1 to 1.1 amp. And then it's the current capacity of the battery and voltage there is 4.18. In other words, when that reaches 4.20, it will be full. So it's nearly full, and that's charging quite rapidly for that size cell, and it won't take long. And you can see it recognizes that as a lithium ion. So if we take that out and we put in a nickel metal hydride, let's see if it recognizes that as a different type of battery. So we'll put that in the same slot. Let's see what it comes up with. There, you see it's flashing nickel metal hydride, and obviously capacity wise totally different. You're looking at about 1.5 volts for fully charged, and it's only charging that at less than half an amp, which is more sensible for that size cell. You certainly wouldn't want to be charging that at a massive ridiculous level like 3 amps. So it does work, and like I say, I've tested it with them all. So let's go through the basic modes. So I'll put on, let's have a look, this one probably needs a bit more of a charging, so I'll stick that on. So your basic modes, and we'll go through those. So I'm just using this mode button here. So if you click that, it will go through the different modes. So be aware, you see where it says CUR and then there's a little dot. So it's an abbreviation, current. Okay, so we'll go through those. So you've got current, and then you've got CAP, which stands for capacity. And then you've got IR, which stands for internal resistance, and then you can see the resistance reading there is 0.025. It's pretty accurate. It seems pretty good. It certainly detected some dud cells that I had. And then the next one, it goes back to current. So current is just showing you what's going in and your voltage. Next one, capacity. It's showing you, in regards to capacity, it's showing you how much has been put in so far whilst this has been charging. So can you see how that's rising? So far it's put in 32 milliamps, 33, 34, 35. I've noticed this updates quicker than the last one. It's more rapid. The pooling rate seems to be higher, whereas on the other one it seemed to be quite slow. Pretty good on this one. So that's all your modes there. We've been through, no problems. And it shows you your milliamps and what's going in and your internal resistance. So they're your basic ones. You also have a grad and a store mode, which I sort of understand. So if you long press the mode button, watch, jumps along to grad, which stands for grading basically. So what does that do? Okay, so what it'll do is it'll deplete the battery, and then it'll charge it again, and it'll give you a figure, and it's trying to give you a figure of the capacity of this battery. It's I've tried it on a few cells. It sort of gives you an accurate one, but I haven't got another item to check it on that. It's going to give you a basic figure of how much capacity it is. That's quite useful actually, because if you ever buy any cells off eBay and you get these awful, anything with the word fire in it basically, and they say, right, this is 1 billion milliamp hours, it'll last you 30 years, and it's a load of rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. That's not the case, and that's not the capacity, and they're overemphasizing what they think the capacity is, and it's not true. Now, you're not going to get that with sensible cells like the Samsungs, the real ones anyway, but a lot of the copies do that. This will allow you to check the real capacity, or close to the real capacity anyway. Obviously, this isn't a standalone device for checking capacity, it's just one of its features, and it does okay in that regards. So you've got that there. If you didn't want to use that mode, the next one, so click and hold again, you see it's got grad for grade, and then you've got store mode. So if I click and hold, there's your store mode. If it's really low voltage, it'll jump it up a little bit, and I've noticed if it's really high, it jumps it down a bit. I presume by store they mean storage voltage. In other words, you're not going to, generally when I store cells, I try to store them at between 70 and 80%. Longevity is maintained that way, and I presume that's what this is for, because that's what it seemed to do. But I couldn't find a lot in the literature, and the booklet that came with it was no good either. But that's what I found. So those are your basic ones. Hold it again, and it goes back to the normal ones again. So when you're charging, you're probably thinking, okay, what's this current button? If you press this will allow you to change how much juice is going in. So this lower figure here. So at the minute it's about 0.5 amp, but what you can do is you can go through them all. So you've got, and I will start from the top. So if you keep going, you see how it goes through, and So it's you've got 3 amps, 2 amps, 1 amps, then it should go to half an amp, and then quarter of an amp. So those are your only functions you can pick on this bank here, between 1 and 4, and it works fine. And it'll try and maintain, you see, so at the minute it's charging at 3 amps on that cell, no problems, you see, it's maintaining that. So rapidly the voltage is going up there. It's 3.96, 3.95, 3.97, so very rapid charging if you need it, which is great. In regards to how rapid you can charge multiple cells, if you remember on the old one, which was the non-plus, the normal VC, if you the more cells you populate, obviously it's got to share that juice out. So if you populate them all, on this one you're not going to get 1 and 2 amps. It's going to allow you to charge them all at half an amp. And with this one, they've actually doubled that. So as long as you're using Quick Charge 3, or you've got the adapter, remember, you must follow those specifications. Under those conditions, you can charge them all at 1 amp, which is fantastic. So that should sort of save me a lot of time. I was happy to see that. Okay, so let's take that out. So basic functions I was very happy with. I would prefer a longer wire here on this one. They should double the length of this, and maybe stick a Type C in the box there. That would be nice to see. And the other thing, if I can find it, maybe it's make this text a bit bigger. Now, I'm not like a 90-year-old ex-miner with bad eyes, but dear me, even I had problems reading this, and I've got very good eyes. I used to do hunting and things like that. I'm pretty good. My eyes are excellent, but dear me, I had some problems with this. So larger print, longer wire, but the main unit itself, fantastic. Really, really liked it so far. So let's go over some quick sort of pros and cons. Okay, so pros, it's Type C, which is brilliant because that's becoming ubiquitous now. I like to see that, and it's unidirectional. You get the adapter with it. Now, by giving you the adapter, that takes away the chance of a non-flashaholic getting this, plugging in the wrong cable and saying it's rubbish, it doesn't work, it keeps cutting out, it's rubbish. And it's not the unit's fault. That's a fault of the specification of the juice that you're putting in. So nice to see you get that. It is power delivery compatible. I tested that, so it will do Type C to Type C. Just make sure that the plug that you're outputting will be outputting either Quick Charge 3 or at least 3 amps, and it works fine. 21700s work. The slots are wide enough for 26650s. Look, bang, stick that in, no problem. Look, you can even populate, I mean, these are 21700s to the left and right, which are also massive, still works eventually. There you go, see what I mean? So even though you've got that in, it's wide enough where you can put big cells on the sides of those and without issue, and plenty of leeway there, unless you're using something like a proprietary cell, but that's another issue. Protected cells, no problem, all the way up to 21700, really, really good. I like the way the display dims, so if you charge this and leave it for a minute, this dims, so if you're running that in the middle of the night, it's fantastic, it doesn't irritate you. In that regards, if you, I'm trying to remember how you do it now. Do you hold mode? And you can turn off, no, you might hold, I'm trying to remember how you do it now. You can't actually change, I think you hold that. Display, that's it, you hold display. I can't remember now, let's have a think. Is it mode or display? You can hold, I'll put it up here. You can hold this button, and what it'll do is it'll turn it off. So it'll turn the display off. Sorry about that. It's been a long day, put it that way. Okay, so in those regards, brilliant. It'll do 1 amp all the way along, which is fantastic. That's a massive upgrade. That's double what you could get on the VC8, the non-plus. So very, very happy about that. Cons, short lead. I would have liked to have seen a Type C cable in there. But it's not the end of the world. Price wise, pretty impressive. So I've tried to keep this a quick review anyway, and I hope I have. I'll do a fuller one if people want, and I'll do more testing, but so far I've tested this for a week. I've had no problems. I've done all my cells, including the tiniest all the way down to the AAA, no problem. Really enjoyed using it, but I'd enjoyed using the other one. And the only time it ever cut out was when you used the wrong cable, which is fine. That's not within specification. So marks out of 10. If you need this sort of capacity, I do. I've got hundreds of cells, and it allows me to charge them in batches. If you need the capacity for an 8 slot, highly recommend it. Excellent. I've had no problems with it. I'm going to give this a 9. Why am I not giving it a 10? Well, not just because I'm mean, but I want a longer cable. Basically, longer cable would be nicer. But other than that, there's not a lot to complain about. I think Xtar's done a good job as usual, and you know I've got a lot of Xtar products, and I even buy Xtar stuff for the family. So if I'm buying it with my own money, you know that there's something to be said by that. So 9 out of 10, well done. There's no beam shots after this one, so this is the end of the review. So you can go away and have a cup of coffee after having to listen to my voice for this length of time. So thank you for joining me. If you've got any questions, stick them down below. I'll stick a little link down below to this, and I'll try and help you the best I can, because that's the whole point of this channel. I want a community of people who help each other, share information, and enjoy this hobby. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm off. Whee!